So, good morning. And who is brand new? Welcome. Hey guys, how's it going? So, here we work with the foundation focus every month, and it's in a particular chakra that we work with. And this month it's the root, and the root is really a place for these foundational teachings to get really grounded in the philosophy of the practice and not just the physical, but the physical is very much an aspect of root chakra work because we have to learn how to really embody and get connected to the body and listen to what it needs and actually pay attention to what the body is saying and not just let the brain control everything all the time. So the philosophy will kind of help us bridge those gaps between what we think we need and what we're conditioned to doing and feeling, and then what we actually need, and then what we want to do to start making us really connect to the larger spiritual implications, the spiritual maturity. So in the process of this month, I'm also experimenting with recording these pieces so that you can go back and listen to them. I'm putting something together. It'll be on the website within the next hopefully the next week. I'm figuring all of the technical details out, which is also forcing me to kind of put it into, it's a discipline in the container. So that's also something this month that you may be experimenting with, is different forms of discipline. And really then cultivating this connection to allowing something or someone, like a philosophy or a guru. I mean, this is really where teachers and people who have come before us that we have seen do something to a degree that they have cultivated a practice, that they've cultivated something in their life that we're like, yes, that's what I want. It's like they're living the way that I want to live and they have something that I don't have, and yes, I'm obedient to the teacher. It's like when you find something that you're like, yep, that's it, I feel it, and there's no way you could stop it. You just have to kind of follow the impulse. And that is where we then come into the foundational principle of the practices in Ashtanga Yoga. We're given, that wasn't my phone, I'm glad. I was like, uh-oh, I hear the ding. Is that somebody else's phone that's on? Just don't make sure it's not during Shavasana, because that'll really tweak you. Tweak me more than anything else. Yeah. So the 8-limbed system of Ashtanga Yoga that's given to us from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the practice and this book, we really don't know how old it is. The oldest account, historical reference, is 2,500 years ago that it was written down. But we really don't know how old it is. Some accounts say 5,000 years ago, some say 7,000. Really old in the Indus Valley, and our culture is very different from what the Indian system was and what our culture and conditioning is at this point, but the human condition has not changed. And this 8-limb system that they put out really just hits every single aspect of what it means to be a human, and the yamas and the niyamas are the 2 limbs of this 8-part system. Asana, which is the physical practice, is the 3rd limb. So technically, we are supposed to be fully rooted in these established pieces of philosophy before we attend to the physical practice. But that's okay. In the West, we kind of do things backwards a little bit. Our bodies were really disconnected. We were very much disconnected from the wisdom of the body. We were kind of told in just kind of a way to follow orders blindly without really listening, and our collective gender conditioning, but also, just life, we really got disconnected from the wisdom that's in this vessel. So part of what we also want to do this month is learn how to decode the messages that we're receiving, and the yamas and the niyamas will give you some pretty clear insights to how you can do that. I gave a full talk about the yamas yesterday, so if you're interested in listening to that, then you can go onto the Facebook page when I post it. Somebody's phone's still dinging. You got to find it. Everybody who's got that little ding, please check it. It's like, just do it. But so the yamas are the external practices, which are in relationship to our external environment. So we're given things like nonviolence, truthfulness, non-grasping, non-stealing, and the wise usage and conservation of our sexual energy. So those are all external things. The niyamas are the internal observances, and they're more subtle. Only you really know what your relationship is to that, and that's what we're going to explore today. So the niyamas, the first one is probably the most uncomfortable one. And when we talk about finding a discipline that you say, okay, my individual self, my rebel nature, my, pissy little complainy part that likes to be oppositional and tell people, you don't know what you're talking about, I know what's best for me. When you find a discipline that really speaks to you and you're willing to submit, tapas. Tapas is the spiritual acceptance of pain without causing any more. So it's hard to change. And when you have the tapas, this burning fire to do something different, use it, harness it, because it's not very frequently in your life that you're going to have that much spiritual fire to actually submit to the process of cracking open. Cracking open isn't fun, right? Tapas can be explained, it's spiritual fire, which is that burning desire to change, but it's also accepting the pain that you have, accepting the pain that's in your life, your physical pain, emotional pain, and mental pain, as a form of purification. It is not meant, the world and God or the universal energy or source or intelligence or whatever it is that you connect to it, is not handing you all of this pain so that you break and die. That's not why this pain has arrived. The pain has arrived to teach you something. And if you can use it as an active contemplation and really meditate, what is this pain saying to me? What can I do about this? And the subtlety in it, the spiritual acceptance of pain without causing any more. That line is particular because sometimes we react with more pain. Well, this painful thing happened to me, so I'm going to become rigid, uptight, stuck, cut off from the world, angry or aggressive, defensive. It's like if we respond with something else that creates more toxicity or pain in ourselves, well, then we've missed the point. So we have to kind of look at the situations in our life that have brought us to this current place of pain and then genuinely reflect, what did I do to either attract the situation to me? Because again, now we get into the subtleties of karma. Karma is not something that Westerners really like the idea of. In fact, it's really, I find it fascinating how Christianity and Catholicism is like, you get this one life and that's it. And in this one life and that's it, it's only what you do when you're here that matters, whether or not you're going to get to heaven or hell. So it kind of feels like they're just really trying to control your behavior in this lifetime, but not necessarily figure out, well, but if you just repent and come to Jesus, then all of your sins are wiped away, and as long as you do that, then it really doesn't matter what you do. You can be an absolute asshole until the end of your life. And then as long as on your deathbed, you're like, Jesus, I'm a sinner, then you get in. What is that? It's like there's just something about that doesn't really, it never made sense to me. The practice and the understanding of karma, that kind of made a little bit more sense to me. Dharma, my teacher, who's in his late 70s and in the city, he's been practicing this for over 54 years, a devout. He's a guru in all ways. He is absolutely there to talk and to disperse this wisdom. And he said, all you Westerners, you don't accept the laws of karma. Oh, I feel bad for you. As soon as you realize karma, you realize not everything is your fault in this lifetime. You carried in things that happened to you before. You were unconscious. Now, if you accept the laws of karma, you can do something about it. Clean up your closet. It's like, oh, thank you. It's like not everything that is happening to you in this lifetime is because of things that you did in this lifetime. They are coming through from your genetic, ancestry. It's like epigenetics is now actually scientifically proving that our traumas carry through generations, that different flips in our DNA are lit up and then coded and then passed on. So that's why you see a lot of family trauma. It's like, why does addiction follow? Why do certain things follow? There's this epigenetic line. Some of these things that you are experiencing, the pain right now, is not because of you. So great, what can we do about it? Tapas, understand that whatever pain you're in, okay, I submit. What can I do about this? Please give me some discipline. And then the discipline of the yamas will kind of help you go back in. approaching yourself with nonviolence, really being honest about what's here, understanding that your patterns of behavior are not just from now. It's going to take some time, but the tapas that's required, you got to get to work. That's where the fire comes in. Om Namah Shivaya, right? In the yogic tradition, Shiva is the destroyer. Wipe the slate clean. Nothing is too big for Shiva to just kind of burn to the ground, and then like the phoenix rising from the ashes, you can start over again. So if you really accept tapas, it's not such a painful process. It's kind of like a willing submission. Okay, I know it's going to hurt. Do it anyway. I know this is going to hurt, and do it anyway. So as we're getting into our hips and we're building strength, there's no getting around it. Unless you're born with like naturally flexible hips and really open hamstrings and, just this, oh yeah, it's really easy for me. You're not going to feel, it's not going to feel good in that typical sense of good. You're going to feel great afterwards when the pain moves, and then all of a sudden you have this new sense of grounded connection. Then you feel great. That's what tapas is. It's not going to be painful forever. So just willingly accept it, and then we'll get to move into the next place. Shaucha is the next niyama. Shaucha is cleanliness or purity. So in the internal sense, we can really examine our cleanliness. It's like we can get really caught up in all the stories about how bad we are, about all the toxic things that we put into our bodies, the toxic people that are in our lives. Why do we keep going back and have these like negative associations? Why do we keep going back to our family for regular thrashings? Why do we keep attracting the same terrible form of relationship? Why do we keep eating garbage when we know we feel like garbage? Why do we keep putting on the news when we know it just puts us into a tailspin? Why do we keep doing it? Because we're unconscious. Take the tapas, understand, turn the TV off. Get a divorce if it's that bad. Stop going back to your family and draw boundaries around them if they are continuing to hurt you. Why are you continuing to put yourself into this pattern of toxicity? Clean it up. It's like take responsibility. Shaucha is really about personal responsibility. This is a great time of year to do it. Spring cleaning, right? So why is this the time? Everything's been kind of like dull and inside and sleepy, and we've been accumulating, and there's dust, and there's all of this other stuff. As soon as the spring comes around, it's an opportunity to seize the energy of the season and say, okay, I'm done. That's it. Clean up. Clean up. Not just your diet. Clean up your associations. Clean up the information that you put inside of yourself. I make the talk about this. I've met some really obnoxious vegans and some clean living people who are like, oh, I would never put a toxin in my body in the form of, it's like, oh, you still drink coffee. Oh my God, that's so toxic. And, I can't believe you would even think about, like, meat is so low level vibration. And yet they are the most mentally and emotionally toxic people I have ever met. It's like if you're feeding yourself the cleanest food, but you're then feeding yourself a stream of mental McDonald's, you're going to be, just like that guy, fat, sick, and nearly dead, except it's your heart and your brain, not your body. Your body can look as clean as possible, nice and shiny, and you can think you're all great. But if you are on a steady stream of toxic information and toxic people, then you're not going to really vibrate at that level, and you're still going to perpetuate these issues. So clean up the environment, take responsibility, and live shaucha in a new way. So we've got tapas, shaucha. What's the next? Svadhyaya. So svadhyaya, self-study or spiritual study, really, of any kind. When you look at svadhyaya, it's to know thyself. Yoga is a practice of self-awareness. You are meant to go inside and to witness yourself. What's going on in this heart and mind? What's going on in this body? If you're not willing to actually see yourself through this lens of not criticism, it's like just see it. What's there? You see where you've come from. You see what you've done to, bring you to this place in this moment. You've seen what you've done in the past and the results that it's brought you, and positive and negative. We're not all terrible. It's not like you've been this person that has never had any successes. But if you're looking at yourself to the constant eye of criticism, judgment, and competition, then that's not true self-study. You're just focusing and nitpicking on the negative things. So self-study is also to become aware of the ways that you are adept, of the ways that the gifts that you have, of this like understanding that, oh, I'm actually not all that bad. I'm human. I have like icky shadows just like everybody else, and I have some parts that are maybe a little unrefined that I can work on. Great. That's it. Svadhyaya, self-study. And then choosing the information that you're feeding yourself is also a part of this, because where you are going to be affected by the information that you take in. You're going to be affected by your environment. So it is really necessary to find teachers and information. Fake news, I mean, I want to throw up about it's like fake news. No, it's not. We have to use our higher brains to actually understand, where does this information come from? When you say, oh, everybody should be vetting their Facebook things before they, post them. If it's ancient philosophy, wisdom that came down from thousands of years, and that multiple traditions and cultural and these philosophies that came about all around the world in these different places, that they didn't have connection to each other, yet they ultimately came to the same truth, and then that's what they put together, that information is clean. You don't need to vet that. It's like, this is ancient wisdom. I mean, pretty much when you look at the yamas and the niyamas, it's the 10 Commandments. The yamas and the niyamas predated the 10 Commandments. Why are there 10 of them? It's like they obviously took some information from this, and it's great. That's wonderful. That's right knowledge. So really discerning what's right knowledge is also part of Svadhyaya. Where are you really getting your information from? And then trust that. If your teacher, I'll tell you, I'm not a guru, but I have some practice in me. I've read a lot of books. You can look through the library here. You can kind of, ask questions and check it out. Vet it for yourself. See how it feels in you. If something's resonating at a level that you maybe feel a little challenged by it, but you ultimately know, yeah, my heart is resonating with this right now. This feels right. That's good information. So then that is going to bring you to the next place and that level of awareness for yourself. And I feel like I'm missing one because there are 5, but I'm not going to nitpick on that right now. Ishvara pranidhanam is a surrender to something greater than yourself. That's the ultimate niyama, is to finally say, after all of this work and all of this cleaning up of my attitude and all of this cleaning up of my life and all of this discipline and restraint, and I'm working on it, and I'm responsible and I'm accountable. Ultimately, all of this work that you've done is to go, okay, because it's not me, it's not my will, it's thy will. Make me a clear channel for peace in this world. Give me the instructions. What do I need to do? That's the ultimate offering. That is why the final niyama is surrendering to something greater than yourself. It's not my will, it's thy will. Ishvara pranidhanam. It's a really very powerful, it's the most ultimate act of power, is to surrender and say, I'm here. What do you need? Make me a channel. What can I be? And that's really the true teaching of yoga, is to become a clear channel for peace. How can I be of service? Where do I need to show up? How am I needed today? If you start every day with a true intention of, let my day be an offering to how I can be of service, all of a sudden, opportunities will present themselves. You'll see it. Oh, this person needs me, or this person is here, or you get put in a place where all of a sudden, when I started really offering my energy to be of service, all of a sudden, little ways show up. I find lost purses that were just like left behind with like keys and cell phones. Okay, I'm going to take those and bring it to the place so that they can be returned. I see dogs wandering around neighborhoods, and I go, okay, time for me to return that little doggy to their, so I follow them, and they look at me, and they get spooked, and they run back to their house, and they bark on their front lawn, and I knock on the front door. Oh, thanks, my dog. Yeah, you're welcome. It's like, that's okay, I'm here to be of service. At other times, it's in challenging ways, like, the little dog that I saw that was hit in the middle of a road, and is a little like Toto dog, and it was actually on the way to work one day to the old studio on 4th Avenue. Were you in that class? And I just knew, as I'm approaching and I see this little dog, I see these 2 people standing there, one guy in a van, one woman just standing there. And I said, okay, it just happened. Don't know who hit it. We don't know whose dog it is. I have to get out. I can't not be of service. So I got out, and I turned around, and there's this man who was like, yeah, like we saw it, and so, I said, do we know whose dog it is? He goes, yeah, his. And he turns, and there's this 10-year-old boy. He couldn't be more than 10. Standing there shaking, with tears in his eyes, with a shovel. And I went, and I looked at the guy, and I said, did you tell that boy to get a shovel for his dog that somebody just killed? He was like, well, I said, oh, no, nope, why I'm here. I said, honey, you're not going to do that. Please go get me a blanket. Does he have a favorite blanket? Yeah. Can you go? Okay, go get that. I'm gonna wrap him up. You're not going to do that. And I just look at this guy. He was like, It's like, what kind of a person is going to tell a 10-year-old to scrape their dog off the pavement with a shovel? It was like, this is why I'm here. So I go over to this little being, with his skull broken in the street, and I wrapped him up. And I made him a little, beautiful little blanket, and I just said, now, you keep him outside. Where are your parents? My mom went to the store. She's going to be really upset. We left the dog out. We didn't know that he got out. I said, honey, it's not your fault. Gave him a big hug. He just sat there, and he took it. I looked at the woman. I said, I got to teach a yoga class in 5 minutes. Can you stay here with him? Can you stay outside with him until his mom comes home? Yes. Okay, thank you. And then I take off. So sometimes it's not easy. I showed up shaking and nervous and sad, but that was why I was there. So if you put yourself in this position of surrendering to how you can be of service, get ready, because you might be called to show up in some challenging ways. And that's kind of the point. It was an honor for me to be there that day. It felt like I just saved maybe this little boy from further trauma than he already had. And that was it. I don't know anything about the family. I never got their name. I never saw them again. It was like anonymous. You don't need to be recognized on a weird, level of okay, now I'm going to get pat on the head for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter. That's not what it was about. I was just there to be of service. So when you can transform your physical practice into an act of service, now here's the way that we can start to translate why it is that we're here. When your physical practice becomes an offering, my teacher Dharma created this poster of 908 asanas that are some of the most spectacular, crazy things that a human body can do. You look at it and say, how is that even possible? He did it back in the 70s when you didn't have digital, you didn't have fancy little tripods with timers. He had the little thing that you had to click, and sometimes it was between his teeth, and sometimes he had to balance and do it, and then other times. And when he was doing that, if he wasn't thinking of God and his guru at the moment that the shutter clicked, he burned the negative. It didn't matter how difficult the posture was. He said, all of this is an offering to God and an offering to my teacher. And his name wasn't on the poster. So isn't that different than Instagram? So it really wasn't about his physical practice. Everybody in this day, when they look at their physical practice and they put these things out there, why are you doing it? Were you offering that asana to your guru? Were you offering it to somebody in your life that needs the strength and grace that you are performing? Or were you doing it for yourself so that people can tell you that you look nice? It's like, why are you here? So when you transform your physical practice into an act of service, things are going to change. You start to see, what do I need in my body today so that I can be of the best service that I can be today? If you learn then throughout the practice, oh, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I think I need some support, I think I need to slow down, I think I need a child's pose. That's going to create the conditions for you to be those things for the people in your life that need it. Then you're going to be able to show up in compassion for someone else. If what you need when you feel, no, I feel good, I feel strong today, I feel like I could take on the world, great. Do it, because then you're going to get really energized and go out and be of service in the way that you need to be, because some days you need a lot of energy to do that. So when you take that perspective, you're also then listening very acutely to what the body is saying. What does your body need? Pay attention. Then you listen, serve the body first, then you'll be of service to others. So in that way, you're giving yourself permission to feel what you need, and then moving it. So it's all part of the big divine plan. Some days you're going to feel one thing, other days you're going to feel another. Totally fine. Just trust the process. Surrender to something greater than yourself. So let's close our eyes and come inside. And if you're not sure, just yet what to do with all of this information, just breathe into it and know you're not alone. We'll find the way as you go through the rest of the month. As you get grounded and lifted, connect to your roots. We open up through the crown, unhinge the jaw. Allow your eyes to be softly closed, but if it feels awkward, just leave them open and just focus on a point in front of you. We start to connect your movement, or rather your space, to your breath. So as you inhale, really connect and take the breath all the way down to the pelvic floor. Exhale, let it go. We take 2 more breaths just like that. Last one. And start to connect deep Ujjayi breath, the oceanic sound constricting the back of the throat on the inhales and the exhales. It's good to stoke your fire, will help with your tapas and also your shaucha. Burning through, creating that internal heat and purifying. We set our collective intentions to bear witness to the niyamas and how they will move through us, and to ultimately come to a place of surrender to something greater than ourselves, so that we can be of the best service that we can be in this plane of existence. We open the practice by chanting Om 3 times together. Inhale deeply for Om.